After defeating the Persians in Asia Minor and at the Great Battle of Issus, Alexander the Great turned his eyes toward Egypt in 332 before Christ. At this time, Egypt was under Persian control, and the people were weary of their rule. When Alexander marched into the land of the Nile, he did not face resistance. Instead, the Egyptians welcomed him as a liberator. They had long suffered under Persian governors and saw in Alexander a chance for freedom and prosperity. For Alexander, Egypt was not only another conquest, but a key part of his vision to build a vast empire that united East and West. The arrival of Alexander in Egypt was marked with celebration. The people hailed him not just as a conqueror but as a deliverer. He respected their traditions and religion, which made him even more beloved. One of the most important moments of his time in Egypt was his visit to the temple of the god Amun at Siwa Oasis in the desert. This was not an easy journey, but Alexander insisted on making it. The priests at the temple gave him a sacred title, calling him the son of Amun. To the Egyptians, this meant he was no ordinary king, but a divine figure, a pharaoh chosen by the gods. This recognition gave Alexander both religious and political authority in Egypt, securing his rule without bloodshed. But Alexander's ambition in Egypt was not only spiritual, he also had a vision of creating a city that would become a center of trade, culture, and knowledge. On the Mediterranean coast, near the Nile Delta, he chose a site to build this city. He named it Alexandria, after himself. This was not unusual, since Alexander founded many cities during his campaigns, but Alexandria would become the greatest of them all. The location was perfect. The harbor was large and well protected, making it ideal for trade. The city lay between the Nile and the sea, a gateway between Africa, Asia, and Europe. Alexander carefully designed the plan for the city, laying out wide streets that crossed at right angles, a grid system that was advanced for its time. He wanted the city to reflect order, beauty, and Greek culture. Although Alexander would never live to see it completed, Alexandria grew into one of the most important cities of the ancient world. In later years, Alexandria became famous for its library, which aimed to collect all the knowledge of the world. It became a place where scholars, philosophers, and scientists gathered. The city also became a center of trade, connecting different civilizations and spreading ideas, goods, and cultures across continents. All of this began with Alexander's vision. While in Egypt, Alexander also strengthened his reputation as a wise and respectful ruler. He adopted some local customs and honored Egyptian gods, blending cultures rather than destroying them. This policy of respect made it easier for him to govern a vast empire of many different peoples. Unlike other conquerors who tried to erase local traditions, Alexander often embraced them, adding to his image as a unifier rather than only a destroyer. Alexander's time in Egypt was relatively short, but its impact was lasting. He left behind a city that symbolized his dream of merging cultures. Alexandria stood as proof that Alexander's legacy was not only about war and conquest, but also about building and creating. To this day, the city of Alexandria in modern Egypt carries his name, a reminder of the young Macedonian king who dreamed of greatness beyond his own time. The story of Alexander in Egypt shows another side of him. He was not only a warrior and conqueror, but also a visionary builder. He understood that empires are not held together by force alone, but by culture, trade, and ideas. His visit to the Temple of Amun gave him divine legitimacy, and his founding of Alexandria gave him eternal presence. Together, they made Egypt one of the most important jewels in his empire. For Alexander, Egypt was more than a land he conquered. It was a stage on which he demonstrated his ability to blend strength with wisdom, war with culture, and ambition with vision. Through Egypt and Alexandria, his name lived on, not just in battles and victories, but in the enduring legacy of a city that became the bridge between worlds.